Well, good morning, everyone. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Alleluia. This is a great day. It's an important day, and I'm going to explain a little bit more in just a second why we are doing what we are doing for Phoebe Hospital in the country of Liberia, West Africa, right north of the equator, where the sun shines almost all the time. But before we do that, I want you to train your eyes on one of the two video screens so you can see this short video clip about the hospital in Liberia.
Can you tell the people in the U.S. why that would be of value, or why a solar energy system would be helpful to the hospital?
Well, the first thing that I like to say, and that I said, was the cost. The cost of running a diesel engine is not small. It's difficult. Even to sometimes, even if we have the money to buy, sometimes there's shortage on the market. We cannot find it on the market. Again, sometimes the road is so bad from Monrovia here, now that it's under construction, fine. But the road gets so bad, especially during the rainy season, that the trucks bringing the diesel fuel get stuck in the mud for maybe days, and they're not able to reach us. So we're in darkness. There's no electricity here, and the generators break down. They break down frequently, especially when they're getting older. They break down frequently, and to even repair can be a difficulty. And people, we need electricity. We cannot run a hospital without electricity.
Has there ever been a time when Dr. Sibley was in the operating theater and the power went out?
Yes, so many times, yeah.
So what role does Phoebe Hospital play in the healthcare system in Liberia?
Phoebe Hospital played a major role in the healthcare delivery of Liberia. Phoebe Hospital is considered as the regional hospital in central Liberia, and we serve as referral hospital for the rural areas, Bon, Lofa, Nimba, and other counties that are beyond us. We are also serving as the county referral hospital for Bon County. So all medical care within this region are referred to us, then we from here refer to Monrovia. So we are directly involved in saving lives, helping to reduce maternal mortality, helping to implement the healthcare policy of the government of Liberia.
Alternative source of electricity, like solar energy. I think this would be like a lifesaver.
Okay, something has struck a chord for people because in our Northeastern Minnesota Synod, which is made up of 144 congregations, we have had a body of people who have decided on our behalf that we are going to support this project in Liberia, a solar panel project at a hospital that does not function on an electrical grid. They don't have that luxury like we do, that can render obsolete 5 dirty diesel fuel operated generators that aren't particularly consistent in their output of electricity for people who need it at a moment's notice, like maybe a baby who needs surgery and maybe is the a recipient of the lights going out in the operating room. So when the doctor, Dr. Sibley, said this would literally be a lifesaver for us, he's not joking. This could be a lifesaver for people. Phoebe Hospital is located, as I said, in West Africa, Liberia, just above the equator. The sun almost always shines there. To be able to harness the sun's power, to make power in that place, seems like a no-brainer, right? So we're going to help. That's why we're here today. We're doing this on the same day that hopefully all of the other congregations in our synod are doing the same thing. We're using the same exact bulletins, the same worship service and everything. I don't think anybody else is using a grapefruit, though. So I want to explain why I've got a grapefruit in my hand, because it's the only time in my 25 years of ministry that I've ever held a grapefruit in my hand during the sermon. And Andy, who was our doctor in the skit, is now going to be a professional baseball catcher too, because he's going to catch this grapefruit. Oh, good catch, Andy. Give him a round of applause. Oh, I know. It's just... Okay, Andy is going to stand right at the end of the tile back there, which is exactly 35 feet away from me. And he's holding a grapefruit, and I'm holding just a tiny little pebble, and this is actually too big. It should be a little grain of sand that we can barely see. Andy's grapefruit represents the sun that God has placed in the cosmos, in our galaxy. And my little tiny pebble that you can't even see represents us, the earth. So to scale, I'm not a scientist, but I've got friends who are. To scale that big, huge grapefruit is powering life here on this little tiny pebble of earth. Do you feel small? You know what? Our galaxy is one, I understand, is one of billions of other galaxies just like it. So in our little corner of the cosmos, we've been asked by God to be the caretakers of this little tiny pebble called Earth. And we're just little specks. One of, 150 of 7 billion on this planet. We're just tiny little specks who've been given the job of taking care of the earth and somehow incorporating the sun's great gift and power into what we do for our planet. Listen again just to a few verses from Psalm 8 that Carolyn read. When I look at your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars that you have established, O God, what are human beings that you are mindful of them? Mortals, that you care for them. Yet, you have made them a little lower than God and crowned them with glory and honor. You have given them dominion over the works of your hands. You have put all things under their feet. Want to throw the sun back, Andy? Oh, that's a great pitch. Thank you. Good job. You've been given dominion. You heard it in Genesis today. You heard it in this beautiful creation psalm, Psalm 8. Dominion isn't what you think it is. You think dominion is control and exercising power over somebody or something else. That's not what dominion is. In the Bible, dominion is care. It's nurturing. It's watchfulness. And it's being in charge of making sure that life is good and even gets better for everybody on your watch, under your watch. Okay? That's what dominion is. It's the definition of stewardship. Stewardship is being responsible for caring for everything that God has entrusted to us, whether it's our church or the globe, the creation. I kind of want to know how we're doing with that. How are we doing with stewarding, caring for the creation around us? The lights came back on after the children's sermon today, right? And the organ is still going to play, although I think Kathy's going to play the piano for the rest of the service. And the microphone came back on so I could talk to you, right? Maybe you don't want the microphone to come back on. Stop him! Luxury. We've got the luxuries of being able to turn things on and off. In Africa, it's not the case. But we can help. We can help by exercising the dominion that God has given us to do something that we have the technology to do now. Harness the sun's energy to create electricity so that dirty old diesel generators that don't always get fuel delivered to them don't have to be relied upon anymore. What do you think? How are we doing stewarding the earth, the creation, people's ability to appreciate it and use it for their own good? When I was a kid, I was in Cub Scouts, and I had a pack leader, I guess, who must have seared something into my brain because I've never forgotten it since we were in Cub Scouts. Whenever we went anywhere, whether it was on a camping trip or anywhere else, he would say to us, "All right, guys, you always leave a place better than you found it. You always leave a place better than you found it." How are we doing with our creation? How are we doing with the ability to share when we can? Because we can. With people who maybe could be helped and healed and have lives saved because of our sharing. How are we doing in our stewardship of the creation? One last little illustration, that is mentioning the name Bill Holm. I don't know if any of you recognize that name. Bill was an author. He's from Minneota, Minnesota. He wrote a great short story some years ago called The Cathedral of God's Creation. And here's what he said. It's kind of Psalm 8. He said, "I go about my day, and I get in my car, and I drive all over the countryside, and I'm in charge. And I come home at night, and I put my car in the garage, and I shut the garage door, and I still think that I'm in charge." But then he said, what I do at night is go out into the yard where my yard meets the countryside. And he said, I lay down in the grass on my back when the sun goes down. Because as soon as the sun goes down and the moon comes up and the stars come out and the crickets start, what do crickets do? They cricket. When the crickets start cricketing and the frogs, what do frogs do? They frog. So when the frogs start frogging and all of the cathedral of God's creation is alive, he said, I realize I'm not in charge anymore. This is God's world. And I'm here to take care of it and to make it as strong as it can be. And in my words, to leave a place, or my Cub Scout pack leader's words, to leave a place better than I found it. Because this is the gift of God, powered by a big, huge sun, one of billions of galaxies, by God's design, but our place that we are charged with taking care of. How are we doing it? As the sun is our witness, the sun that shines over Liberia, will we share? We've got a lot we can share. Will we? And as the Son, S-O-N, Jesus Christ, the giver of grace that is sufficient for all people and that has nothing to do with anything we've done, it's the gift of God by Christ's death and resurrection. As the Son is our witness, are we sharing to give life as well? We can. We've got it to give and to share. And I hope we will. Thanks be to God for every good gift. The creation especially that gives life to the whole world. Amen.